with that smooth jazz, of course. Out now, brown cow. Welcome to Hometown Brawn episode 3. My name is Sven and thank you so much for joining us. If you've seen our previous podcasts, thank you for being part of the journey. And for those of you that are joining us, welcome. Today we have fellow hometown business from Barrie, Ontario, Mike Olah. He's an entrepreneur, he's a business owner, and he's a community do-gooder. He owns Osgoode Company. We're going to chat with him about what he's doing while his business is shut down to continue moving forward. Really excited for this call. Today, we're going to talk about positivity and optimism and building that into our internals right now. And before I get into that, I did want to just get ahead of this. For those of you that saw last podcast or listened to the last podcast, I compared our living situations with our spouses to being that of prison cellmates. So I'm sorry for that. If you took it literally, I was just poking fun at it. And you know, it's we have to poke fun at these situations. I mean, sometimes it might seem like they're prison cellmates, but really, thank you for being supportive to all the spouses out there that are supporting entrepreneurs, or for spouses that are entrepreneurs with their partners. You know, thank you so much for all you do, because I know it can be certainly a roller coaster, and the ups and downs can be out of control. So I know that can certainly wreak havoc on relationship dynamics, to say the least. All right, so that's out of the way. Speaking of that, it's funny a little bit because you know, I find myself battling with the ups and downs, and I think probably, I'm hoping most of you also are finding it a little bit hard sometimes to find that balance. And because I am. We've got a good day and we've got a bad day, and I'm sure most of you are experiencing the same thing. And it's hard to find the balance in between and take the good with the bad and be grateful for everything that we have. But we really need to, and I think it's important. So I don't mean to keep talking about mental health and you know, everything surrounding it, but it is really important, because mental health is everything. I mean, if without it, we don't have motivation, and we're not motivated, and our employees certainly aren't motivated because they can see it. And speaking of that, we're going to talk about that and how our optimism and positivity radiates certainly beyond what we feel inside. And it's hard. I mean, I get it. It's really hard because we don't know what is on the other side of this. So I found a study that showed that, you know, anxiety-ridden searches are through the roof right now. Google's reporting that everyone is, you know, looking for the answer online, and it's primarily anxiety-driven. And so, you know, when you go to your doctor, you know, Dr. Google is not your doctor. So when you go to your doctor and you say you're not feeling well, you know, the first thing they tell you when you're all worried about all these things you've looked up on the internet is they say, don't go on the internet to look it up. Well, this is the same thing. Don't go to the internet to find the answer, because you're going to stumble across conspiracy theories. You know, 5G is causing COVID. There's all these things. And so don't be consumed by that. Right now, the answer is not on the internet. The answer is within us, and we need to power through it. So that's all I wanted to say about that. And the key to that is optimism, of course. I mean, as entrepreneurs, we have to be optimistic. We were optimistic, very much so, when we started our business, because if you think about it, we created a business like myself. I created products, and I thought people are going to buy them. I'm going to be optimistic that people are going to buy them, and they did. And I came back to my optimism and said, well, this is going well. Why don't I quit my job and take this full time? And many of you did the same thing, and we were optimistic, and we built our business, and our optimism fueled everything, our motivation, our work ethic, and you know, that culture grew around us. Well, that can come crumbling down so quickly with negative culture. And I found myself slipping back and forth between that negative and positive, that angel and the devil on the shoulder are both there battling each other. And, um, it's good days and the bad days, but we have to take everything in stride. We know this. When we're in business, there's days that we sell through the roof with this stuff, and there's days that we don't sell anything, but it all balances in the end. And we have to find that same mindset in all of this, inside ourselves. So when we talk about how we want to foster that, I mean, that optimism, obviously, we don't want to let it get to swallow us up. I mean, what's the other option? Let ourselves, wallow in this and just fold up shop and try and get a job. I mean, I can tell you right now, the job market is going to be very bad on the other side of this. So look at the optimism in this. You have a business you've worked so hard to build. Just put in that extra work. And we're seeing that. I saw another report that said on average, people are working 2 to 3 hours longer per day. And they're doing that because they're worried and they're working hard for their business. But it's also because we don't have that on-off switch. We're constantly working. And because we don't have that balance in our life. Our work-life balance is all intermixed. There is no separation. So that can be really hard too on us because it's emotionally draining, it's physically draining. And with all that tension, we're going to feel our muscles and everything, seize up, and next thing you know, we're burning out. So be very careful, with how you let everything consume you. Try and get what you can done personal care wise. Go out for a run, do some exercise in your house. I've been riding the exercise bike, doing the Peloton classes like crazy, trying to work out that stress, so that I'm not so wound up. I think that's really important. So going back to it, us as the driving force of optimism and positive culture in our organizations, we have to realize that whether your employees are within you in a radius working with you, if you're an essential business right now, or remotely, that negative culture can foster around everything. And then you're not just negative, your employees are negative. It's affecting their motivation. And then they're exuding that into the customers and the way they communicate with customers and how they represent your brand and your product or your company. Well, that's not good for your business. We think about what's happening right now. We have a captive audience. They are sitting there waiting for positivity, waiting for connection, and they are going to look at that moving forward. When they think top of mind about your company moving forward, if they remember you being a Debbie Downer during this time, then that is going to be not looked well upon your business moving forward. If you can right now take everything and build into that positivity and confidence in your business, those customers are going to look at you moving forward in that same light. So, take that into thought in how you design everything, your communication plan, how you communicate with your customers, how you communicate with your employees, because they are also dealing with your customers. It's very important right now. Okay, some good news. We talked about Ontario, Canada, where we are, and last couple weeks we heard that it could be 12 to 18 months that we're in this, and then we had projections of what the worst case, best case, middle case scenarios were, and worst case was 80,000 people would get COVID-19, and that would be worst case scenario, and that would mean that it was 12 to 18 months. Well, we haven't even hit 15,000 cases yet in Ontario, and we are trending towards best case scenario. That is great news. Take it for what it is. Take that, find every last ounce of gratitude you can find in that good news and put it into your business. Right now, it's time to focus on your business, growing it, working on it so that when the economy opens again, which could be realistically within the next few months in a scaled approach, that we're ready to hit the ground running and we are not left behind trying to, pick up the pieces and put them all back together again and then, go. I mean, that doesn't work. Right now, put in the work and let's get through it. Okay. So that's it for what I have to say. Make sure you have a look at Osgoode Company's beautiful apparel on their website at osgoodecompany.com or we supportthelocals.com. They give back part of the proceeds to several organizations and charities, and what they do is a really big help in the community. Now, as we hop into this call, just wanted to pre-warn everyone, if you do have small children listening, we are passionate entrepreneurs, and sometimes the occasional F-bomb will get dropped. So it might get a little explicit with that said. Here we go.
How you doing, Mike?
Not bad, yourself?
Good to have you on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I just wanted to reach out and a little bit of a backstory on us. We've been working together for a few years now. I consider you a very, very talented graphic designer, and I brought some of the stuff that we worked on. So the board bristle beard brush,
awesome.
The man
I still have some of those.
Comb, and the shampoo as well. Right. And I have to give you obviously props on the Hometown Brawn custom font that you did for Hometown Brawn, which has really pivoted over the couple of years that we've developed it, and it's finally had a landing spot with this podcast, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, so I've got great admiration for your brand, Osgoode Company, and support the locals and the whole movement there. So tell me about your story. We both call Barrie our hometown, our home base for our business, and I think we both have a lot of pride for Barrie.
For sure.
Tell me a little bit about your backstory with Osgoode Company and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so I was working as a graphic designer for another local business, and I was just always kind of making T-shirts and I don't know, whatever else I sort of had in my brain to get out creatively, and started selling them a little bit online and going to like little pop-up markets and craft beer festivals and stuff. And I think the thing that really stuck for me was the support the locals message, which I think resonates with a lot of people. So that was the big one for me. And then, again, just doing the markets, the festivals through the summer.
Yeah.
And then, there's Christmas markets or holiday markets, whatever you want to call them, and all that. And then, I just kind of wanted to give people a bit of an experience as to, what the brand was all about, like so they get a proper vibe. And so I always kind of pictured there being a store. And then I stumbled upon this space, which was I think like 700 square feet, and it was an absolute dump. And I decided to pour my blood, sweat, and tears into it. And I think I've been there 3.5 years now. I don't remember exactly, but yeah. So and then there's been a bunch of sort of collaborative things, and I still do a lot of graphic design on the side. So
well,
I mean,
it's a really cool space that you worked on, and I think the space helped bring a lot of your story together, with your brand and the way that your company has evolved. I guess an off the cuff question is, during this time, because you obviously the store's not open, you're not able to have that same relationship person to person. How is that Like, what are you doing digitally to try and, keep that relationship
Yeah.
with your customers?
Well, to be honest, it's been hard,
Mhm.
but I've always been pushing that support local message. I mean,
Yeah.
since the inception of the business, and um, people have obviously realized, at a time like this, I think how important it is. And it's not to say that you know, I didn't invent the concept of supporting local,
No.
but I've definitely been a huge advocate for it. So that's been, a great thing for me to push that message and encourage people, and it shows them, why it's important to support local businesses.
Yeah.
So that's been a big thing. But I've been doing my best to communicate and connect with other local businesses and entrepreneurs. Like we did you were part of the Kemp and Felt Collective with
Yeah.
Chinese Souls and Two Sisters and Madame Pet. There's a bunch of awesome local entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
And the thing I did with the brewery, the beer
Yeah.
launch yesterday. I think it's just important that we connect with each other at a time like this, and have each other's backs and help
Yeah,
others
for
as much as
sure.
possible. I think like the worst thing we could possibly do is try and go it on our own. I mean, we have
No.
a vast network of awesome people in the community, right?
Yeah. I think, one of the things that we talked about on today's podcast is, you know, how far we take isolation, right? And I think
Hmm.
isolation, and how we isolate, a lot of that has to do with our mental health right now.
For
Um,
sure.
and, you know, basically what I think is, for the first couple of weeks, a lot of people were like in this state of shock where nobody really knew what to do. And it was almost like we woke up and we didn't know what to do. So I think it took
Yeah.
a few weeks for everybody to get into it. And I think people are starting to come into that acceptance
Hmm.
phase,
For sure.
that things are different now. Um, and, you know, you did talk about how important it is right now for local businesses to band together. I think from a compassion standpoint, that, you
Hmm.
know, it has shown a lot of compassion. Um, it's brought it back to almost more human level, where
Yeah.
people are understanding that local businesses, um, are the ones that are most vulnerable right now.
Yep. Absolutely.
And a lot of these small business owners, we love doing what we do,
Hmm.
because we love, having a relationship with our community. And sometimes we don't make the most money doing it, but we do it because it makes us happy.
Hmm.
And then in the end, when something like this happens, it proves to be such a difficult time for us as local business owners, small
Oh
business
yeah.
owners, right? So,
Yeah. It's very
um,
difficult.
yeah, it really is good to collaborate with other businesses, because we can leverage each other's customer bases.
Hmm.
We can reach new customers we might not have been able to,
Yeah.
and it also shows that there is a level of community, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I
Um,
agree.
Now, something with support the locals, and ever since I've known you, is that you've been very, um, uh, you like to give back. So
Hmm.
some of the proceeds from the support the locals go back to charitable, causes.
Right.
So, you talked about the support the locals messaging. There's also this really cool, campaign that you did, the We Are Stronger Together campaign, right?
Mm. Yep.
And you started giving back as well to the Barrie Food Bank and the Women's Shelter of Barrie. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Um, yeah, I mean, I had some maps of Barry made up before, and I my intention was to release them around this time, and I thought, you know, um, like obviously the whole idea of we are stronger together, but stay 2 meters apart or
Yeah.
6 feet apart or whatever was just kind of like a funny thing. But I just figured, you know what? Why don't we do this and have some good come of it? And I mean, what better way to promote a sense of community? Besides, I mean, I think the idea of maps, of our hometown, of the various neighborhoods, and obviously I don't have them all yet, but I thought
Yeah.
like that would be a cool way to instill like this sense of civic pride, or pride in Barrie.
Yep.
Um, and bring the community together a little bit. Yeah, it was really well received. So yeah, plus it was just, a fun thing to do, as well as, uh, keep myself busy and
Yeah,
stop myself from going insane at a crazy time like this.
for sure.
So yeah.
Um, and what's around a lot of your teas. I mean, I was on a call last week with the mayor, and
Mhm.
obviously the mayor of Barrie's been a big supporter of support the locals.
Yeah,
You know,
he's great.
we were at a fireside, which is an entrepreneurs camp for entrepreneurs, basically, and he was supporting and had one of your shirts on as well when he was doing his keynote. So that was pretty cool
Oh, awesome.
to see that. Um, Now, I mean, outside of Barrie, I know that you've done some cool collaborative projects with North Bay. I mean,
Mhm.
is there talks of you expanding to other small towns as well, and starting? I know you might not be in those small towns, but like, have you thought about bringing any of this stuff to other towns, doing maps for other towns or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've definitely had requests from people, so I'm entertaining the idea. But to be completely honest, right now, I mean, there's so much going on with this
Yeah.
pandemic, and I'm just I'm just really focused on keeping myself in the business afloat and staying focused. And
Hmm.
it's obviously very difficult because we can only have one person at the shop at a time. So that's those long days, and it's pretty overwhelming at times. So excuse me, as much as I'd like to, do that stuff right now. Yeah, I'm just I'm doing my best to keep on top of things.
Yeah.
And I definitely Kim, who works with me, is the absolute fucking best, and I miss being able to work with her on a day to day basis. She's an absolute fucking monster. She's amazing.
That's
So yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I totally feel your pain. I mean, I'm the only one here in the shop as well,
Hmm.
making sure all the orders go out. I was in the lab yesterday packaging up beard oil, because my, my manufacturers, some of my manufacturers are shut down. So,
Hmm.
there's ripples that are coming through every aspect, the logistics chains, the suppliers. We can't get our hands on packaging and stuff like that. So it's definitely impacting us
Yeah, for sure.
in more ways than we understand. Mentally, physically, we're working more hours. I feel like I'm working more hours than I ever have before,
For
um,
sure. And for less money.
and for way
That's
less
how I
money.
feel anyway, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely for way less money. So, um,
Mhm.
one of the things that we really want to bring into this is, you've got your employee that's working remotely right now. So, as
Mhm.
mental health and our roller coaster of this goes up and down. Last week, Doug Ford said that they were going to make steps to open up the economy slowly within the next month, and then he came
Mhm.
out yesterday and just kind of said, "Well, no, um, we won't be open before the end of May. There's no way." So it's almost
Right.
like we get this sense of hope, and then we come down, and then we get the sense of hope when we come down, and so it's
Mhm.
it's it's really hard to find that balance. And I think that um, as much as we can just kind of sit there and say, you know what, this is out of my control. I have to stop obsessing over this and
Yeah.
just do what I need to do right now is the only
Yeah.
way that we can almost find stability. Because if we keep riding that roller coaster, it's not going to be good for us. And then, even when we finally open up the doors to our business and our employees come into this, we don't want to create an unstable environment for them to
Yeah.
be part of, right? We want to
Yeah.
keep that positive and that mindset
Yeah.
in as positive as we possibly can, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, um, I think for me, the first, I don't know, sort of week and a half, I was, of the lockdown, I was definitely obsessing, and I was constantly checking the numbers and reading the news and
Yeah.
everything. And as much as it's good to be smart and and follow sort of the guidelines that have been set out for us. I don't think it's smart to be constantly checking that stuff. Like, it's one thing to be aware, but not healthy to obsess. So I found myself doing that a lot less. And I
Yeah.
mean, there's definitely, like, I have good days and bad days. But I try and get up and bring what I can to the table on those tough days,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I think it's just important to do what you can and stay busy and stay focused. And, even if you're not an entrepreneur, I think it's smart to,
Yeah.
just whether it's taking up a hobby or, whatever it is, just stay busy and try not to dwell on the situation too much.
So what are you doing? Is there anything you're doing like self-care wise that you're doing to keep your mind off things and blow off some steam,
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily to blow off steam, but I mean, I've done a couple things that I've always wanted to do, like the having my own vegetable garden has been in my mind for, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this because I don't know, not to be like one of those end of the world doomsdayers or whatever, but I'm like, it should be, something that everybody does, grow their own vegetables. And
Sure.
my neighbor has his own chickens and that sort of thing. And I think that's pretty cool. And I know it's not for everybody, but I don't know. I'd like
You're
to
gonna
see
start trading some vegetables for some eggs over a little bit of barter
Yeah.
system over the fence,
Yeah. Well, yeah, they've been giving me some eggs and stuff. So that's cool. But yeah, I haven't gone as far as building my own chicken coop, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's been cool learning about growing vegetables and stuff. Now I haven't transferred them outside into the garden bed yet, so
Okay.
we'll see if the
Well,
squirrels destroy it or what happens.
the weather's been a little up and down too, right? Yesterday
Yeah.
we had like, half a foot of snow. It was crazy. So,
Oh man, yeah,
um,
it's not.
yeah. So, the weather needs to stabilize too, right? So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's definitely cool. I was hearing on the news yesterday that they said that there's something in the soil that actually brings out like serotonin levels. So it actually
Mhm.
helps us to feel better when we, have soil on
Mhm.
our hands and stuff like that. So it definitely
Yeah,
is good to find a hobby that can, get
for
our
sure.
mind off work. For
Mhm.
me, I've been hitting the exercise bike. I've got
Oh yeah, that's
battle
awesome.
ropes in my backyard to just to
Yeah,
to do something because we don't have the gym or anything like that, right?
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
it's
And I like,
difficult.
I don't know if you see my like Instagram stories and stuff. I mean, I don't post as much anymore, but I love to run.
Mm-hmm.
We had the obviously not now, but we had the Run 705 club that would meet at the shop every
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday at 6:30. So yeah, I mean any sort of physical exercise is definitely good mentally and physically, right?
Yeah,
And
for
I
sure.
think we really need that through this whole fucking pandemic.
That's right. That's right. Well, I won't take too much more of your time. I appreciate you popping in here. Of course, had to have you on with you being such an integral part of Hometown Brawn, branding behind it and
Mhm.
helping with Always Bearded. So
Yeah, thanks for
love
having me.
love to support the locals and we are stronger together. And I urge everybody out there to head to your website, buy some of your clothes because proceeds are going back to a great cause.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah.
It's good chatting with you, Sven.
All right, you too. Cheers, man, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, take it easy.
All right, take care, man.
See ya.
Bye.
Before I leave you for the day, I just wanted to give a shout out and a thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of our frontline healthcare workers and essential workers out there for all that you do. Thank you so much. To my fellow entrepreneurs, thank you for listening. Keep powering through. Stay positive, stay optimistic, and stay hungry. Thank you for subscribing below to our channel, listening to us on Apple Music, on Google Play, on Spotify, and we'll see you next week.